So let's continue here. So like what we got here is the area inspired by China. So like this is kind of the caricature of Earth. And now let's take a look at the layout. First of all, we make two parts of it. There's two different empires here. You can have two different styles of, it's like Sholong and Tianlong, I think, like in Karatua, something like this. There's a war going on. Two empires is more interesting than one. But as you can see, they only occupy part of this. So what we do here with the whole density and the whole islands, this is predestined to be like something like Southeast Asia, from the climate, from the culture, different cultures warring against each other. You have like Myanmar, you have Thailand and stuff like this. You can put all kinds of inspiration in there and then make it more mystical. At the same time, if you have here the two old civilizations, from Sewell and the Backlonish that developed and then fell. What I put in here is I see the whole continent of Uric as having been one central forest continent that then was changed by climate change, wars, and whatever deforestation. Back then, the elves ruled here, and this was one big forest, and here there was one big jungle, the central jungle. I love jungles, I love forests. So is one of the other tips I would give you is if you like a certain feature of terrain that you love to ride with, use that in your world. You don't have to balance this out. If you love forests, make the whole continent forest, like as long as your players would enjoy it. If you love deserts, make it all deserts. If you like barren landscape, go for it. I like vegetation, I like jungle. So like I made the central part of the civilizations where everything started was in the jungle, somewhere here. And then let me show you some more stuff. So here we have Southeast Asia, here we have China. What do you have here? Here we have a huge part atop of these, like on north of these mountains. This part here is something that was always missing. I want to make it kind of like Russian-inspired empire, like it's Tsar-like, and it is an old empire with high culture, high magics, but separated from the flatness, but human. And what we got here, because I love to be inspired by stuff that inspires me, and I don't give a damn where it comes from. This is my Warhammer area. I love Warhammer. I love orcs. I love the way the orcs are not Warhammer. I was like World of Warcraft too. Like the way orcs are being displayed as not just dumb evil creatures, but like with honor and warlike and different warring factions. This is the area of war. If you might remember, in Warhammer it says in the beginning, in the distant future there's only war. And in this area, there's only war. Imagine 20 orc tribes with banners, with mighty warriors, with legends who fight for the past 1,000 years against each other in those deep forests. Why forests? It makes it more mysterious. Imagine like some kind of northern forest, like Siberia or something. And we now have this tension between, here we have the civilized flatness, we have the old empires that fell. On the left side, we have other civilized areas. But the reason why they don't intermingle is because of those two fallen empires here, and also because of the terrain. You have oceans here, you have the highest mountain ranges are here. And now suddenly you get an interesting dynamic by imagine a Silk Road. You could, through a pass from here, you could cross pretty easily, not easily, but you have to go through the mountains. But from distance, like from here to here, it's the same distance from like the east, which is in this case the west, to the west, which is in this case the east, like East Flanet, East Uric. It's the same distance as from Keoland to the Great Kingdom, but the terrain makes it logical that there's not so much interaction between those two areas. So let's just give an overview of where I'm going with this when it comes to the continents and how I situated the different continents. Here we have Saqqara, like Arabia. I took Zakara, moved the whole freaking continent, and put it on the Flanders. I love I love Sakara. I love Al Qadim, and it's so well developed and so mystical. And like, why not just take the whole thing? Like, why do something else? I don't play in Forgotten Realms, and there's no interaction between the worlds, so I just imported it, but made an island out of it. It's not connected to the main continent, but I love the geography. So now think about the tension. Here we have kingdoms here, and here we have the immediate jungle, which is kind of like savages and old sunken cultures. I would make it Aztec like 100, definitely 100%. This should be Aztec, Inca, or something. And from the climate too, like think of Mesoamerica. And then you go further to the south, and suddenly you have island kingdoms here. You have like pirates, you have all kinds of mayhem and trade. And this is the interface between these civilizations, the one down here. Now we go here, and obviously we have something here like an African continent. I love African-inspired cultures. Rifts has a lot of great source books, and here we have we can make it like desert-like, adjacent to Saqqara. City states. I like to have a kind of dark sun-inspired world there. Where it's all about survival. At the same time, there's oceans and there's islands. Here we have a chain of islands that are kind of like this Pirate of Caribbean kind of style. The whole thing here could be like that. This could all be trade and pirates and all kinds of mythology next to a monolith. And suddenly you see like you get this interesting dynamic that you have high civilizations all over, and in between you have these interface areas. And then comes the tension, also political tension, and you can create a history out of it. And so let's move on from the cultures. Here we have some islands next to my Southeast Asia, so to speak. Here you can do all kinds of stuff. Here I have a sunken culture. I called it the Protean culture, which was kind of like an Atlantis. It was kind of like a tear fall event, like in Forgotten Realms. It made boom and the whole civilization ended. This was actually the first human civilization, like 50,000 years ago, and it ended, and they had spaceships and stuff, like Spelljammer basically came from there. So much things you can do. Here we have Japan. So like a Japanese style culture. It's so important to understand the difference between the Chinese and the Japanese influenced culture. Japan was this insulated culture that develops all these things that we love about Oriental adventure space, like a samurai and kensai, and while a China-inspired culture is different from the mythology. You have the Yama kings. Like, I would really recommend you to get Rifts when it comes to China. There's like 3 books about Chinese-inspired mythology, and they're just amazing. And Japan just has a different flavor. And by making it also an island country, even adjusting the form, well, I love Japan. Stayed in Japan for 9 years, so go figure. It makes absolute sense to do that. Then, now let's add the fantasy to it. I don't want to make this video too long, so like we have Araneth, like the kind of like the Evermead of Greyhawk. This is where the elves went after the big spell. I like the Sundering idea. I like the whole thing of. We have another part here, like which is canon, but here's the big island, and it's a mythical island surrounded by fogs and everything, right next to a huge empire of Oriental characters inspired by China. Those guys have high magic, they have cultures thousands of years old, and right next to them is the Elven continent. It's unapproachable, and it creates tension. It creates a dynamic, and it's very, very hard to get here because you have you would have to go here all the way through this kind of Arctic Sea all the way down here, or even harder, you have to go all the way from like from this part. Let's wait a minute. Let's delete this and create a new layer. Oh wait, I got this one wrong. Here we go. Let's just go here and delete this. I want to have a fresh layer. All right. So look at this now. If you want to go from Greyhawk City by ship to the east, you have to travel all the way here, then go through all this here, Zakara. Like, you could take this way. Now you have different oceans here, which can be quite mythical and everything. You can travel here, or you can go here, and this is your way to the Japan-like culture. And imagine what can happen here, like and all the stuff that could happen here. Or by land, you could theoretically travel through here, take Slaratin's tunnel, take a walk through the Sea of Dust. I mean, why not? Like, seriously, you just have to be high level or something like, and or you fly over with Spelljam. I love Spelljam. I have Spelljam integrated in my campaign, and then you go through it, and then through the jungles, and then you hear. So suddenly you have this. When you travel, it goes from this culture to this culture to this culture, just like in the real world. If you look at the real world map, you see the transitions. If you travel from one place to the other, you go through the different cultures, and each one of them is interesting in their own way in the climate. This is the thing that you need to get if you want to have a real cool world. You need to make every part of it interesting in a different way, not just one main area and then the appendix. This is not so interesting. Everything is interesting. You're just not living there, and there's reasons for that. And now when you integrate Spelljammer into the world, that opens all kinds of weird possibilities, because suddenly you can watch the world from top. So, but now the cool thing is you continue here, you could go through here, and then you could end up here. And this is where the secluded elven realm is, or something. At the same time, you have a Chinese-inspired culture here, right next to a huge kingdom, which is like Russian Tsar-inspired, and beautiful clothes and old magic and mythology from the Russians. Again, if you want to go for Russian-inspired cultures for fantasy, buy GURPS Russia. Absolutely amazing book. And there's also something from Rifts that can give you hints. And just take the fantasy, the mythological elements and integrate them in any way. It's just ideas. It's just, how do you say that? It's, it doesn't matter if it's not fantasy. Good ideas can come from any setting. And you just strip away all the sci-fi stuff. But for example, in Rifts, what I love about Rift South America is they created a whole nation run by vampires, and they make it so cool. And why not? Like get inspired by that. And like I said, down here is the Africa-inspired culture. I don't know what to do with this continent. And here we have all these, I love islands, these island chains. And some of these island chains look like these floating islands in Avatar. And this is a high magic area. I have this, I mean, this fading land thing exists already in canon. That there's these residual magical areas that change over time, transform there from a past area. But if you take the mythology from D&D, basically, with the primordials and the fight, the Dawn War between the gods, so many things that happened here could be from that time. For example, like this used to be a continent, now it's just islands because a primordial fell on there, or like big explosion. Same here. Everywhere you can make historical reasons for geography, and like meteors hitting it, but mythological meteors like gods or primordials. And now there's like the kind of civilized area here, and the more you go to the west, it could become more magical, and there could be areas that completely make no sense. I love mythological inspired geography. For example, we have the Arctic in the north, and we don't have that in the south. Like you don't have a south. The South Pole is actually a continent made out of dense forests, and it's hot there. How the hell does that make sense? Well, it's fantasy. I like to have a South Pole that's hotter, like it gets colder. And for some reason, there's a magical reason for that. And yeah, that's the basic overview. Like I will, here we have Mona Land. I added something here. This is inspired from Seven Seas. It's pirates, swashbuckling setting, absolutely amazing. And then I realized when I put this all on a globe, you maybe like when you watch the first video, I will show more of that, like the map to globe thing. I realized I can't just wrap this around the globe. It makes it too wide, like it stretches the whole continent. I need more. So I looked at the globe and thought of what to put there, and I had to put a continent in here. Like you could now obviously argue, hey, well, that could just be America, South America. Well, in a way, yes, like it has this land bridge like Mesoamerica, but it's more about the geographical situation, what you can see and how it's situated. What you can see is that theoretically there's so many islands here. Somebody, if there would be land bridges, somebody could walk through all these islands from one place to the other. The only place where there's a disconnect. It's here, but actually not so far. You could jump over here, then go here. And then there's this land bridge here. Imagine in olden times, people could have traveled there from island to island and just civilized this. So we have continents here that are disconnected, but go all the way from disconnected from Uruk, but they all go all the way from south to north, and which gives a different, it gives an interesting dynamic that I can show in a different video when you watch the globe, and you turn the globe and you see how interesting it becomes by how the continents are placed. And so now we have here the Arctic, basically, like it's very cold, and it goes all the way down here, and there might be jungle areas here, but hey, let's and these islands go over. And now here's the cool thing: you can go from here to Hepmonaland. This is Hepmonaland here on the left. That's the same place. And now you have this land bridge that theoretically can go to the other continent. Now I can make legends. People actually did that. They traveled that. Because distance-wise, there's the biggest distance in the ocean is from here, from the East Flannis to this continent, didn't name yet. As you can also see, these are sketches. This is not, this is very rudimentary, not finished yet. Here, when you go into the silhouettes of these continents here, I developed them pretty, they're very detailed. Like I will make a different video how to design land masses and how to get these coastlines that look realistic and detailed. As I can show you here, if you go into this area, this is all not finished yet, but I start with the outlines all the time. Well, another video for all the techniques that I use. And yeah, well, that's it for now for an overview. Made this video very long. I try not to edit too much. I don't like that. I like to give the feeling that you step into my atelier, so to speak, like where I do things and figure things out. And I will, over the next videos, I will just start to create like these continents here and deal out with the layering and defining the areas, making different layers for forests, for mountains, for different heights, like 500 meters, 1000 meters, like the topographic map. And then you can change all the layers and put effects on them. And it's very important to define those areas, and then you can later change them. Yeah, so I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I don't make money with these videos, obviously. Like, I just started the channel. That's not my point. I want to reach a big community like of Greyhawk lovers, and I want to propose that we need to go to the next era. Like, we can't just rehash all the time the old stuff and think like, what is canon, what is not. Like, I love canon. I use it everywhere I can, where it makes sense, and I love the Flannis. But if you want to create something as dense as the Flannis on the other side, you gotta go beyond let's never break with anything. It's yours to create. It's your world. If you want to have floating islands from Avatar, if that's your thing, don't just place them over Greyhawk. That doesn't make Greyhawk City. It doesn't make sense. Find a place in the world. And then, like I said, I use Spelljammer, and I create a logic for it. It's about resource management, so it can't be anywhere, everywhere. Like, some cities have it developed, some not. There's political things, some people reject it. In Greyhawk City, there's now a place where you can land Spelljammer ships, in some other cities, but many people are superstitious about it. And I added some resource management. Think of it like some kyber crystals or something, crystals that deplete. It's not just the mental energy that powers a Spelljammer ship. You need some material, and it's rare, and if it's like gasoline, so to speak, and it's expensive. So rich people can travel, and it costs money to fly. In any way, like, I hope you like this video. You have a nice day, and I will try to publish something very soon. Bye-bye.